And moving on to India's trade data for the month of November that is out, India's recorded exports worth $38.13 billion, which is highest in the past 10 years for the month of November. Now, trade deficit for the month of November comes at a 5-month low of $24.53 billion. Smita Karir is joining us as she breaks down the numbers for us. Take it away, Smita.
That's right. India's merchandise trade deficit has declined to a 5-month low of $24.53 billion for the month of November. This was driven by a fall in gold, oil and coal imports, while exports to the US have picked up. So that's some good news. It's coming in on the trade front. And this is what government data shows. Remember, economists had expected the November trade deficit to be $32 billion as compared to a record deficit of $41.68 billion in the previous month. Speaking of overall merchandise exports, well, they have risen to $38.13 billion in November from $34.38 billion for the month of October, while imports have fallen to $62.66 billion from $76.06 billion. And this growth in exports has been driven by engineering, electronics goods, gems and jewelry, and petroleum. In fact, if we speak about geographies that have aided exports for India for the month of November, it includes the United States, like I said, the Netherlands, the UAE, and China. Now, speaking of the US, India's merchandise exports to the US have risen nearly 10% month on month for the month of November, and India has held fort as far as US exports are concerned, despite the tariff situation. In fact, Rajesh Agarwal said that during a briefing, he also added that the decline in imports was due to a fall in gold, oil, and coal imports. Speaking about the trade deal and the developments as far as talks between the two sides are concerned, well, we're given to understand that a framework deal is being discussed to address reciprocal tariffs. And of course, India has taken the deputy USTR who came to India, he's taken stock of trade relations, and a framework deal can be done within a short period of time. But India will not like to put a deadline, even though both sides are looking at a closure. But eventually, it's the principals who need to take a call on that.
And well, let's talk about the rupee that is on a downward trend.